How does Hannah's prayer in 1 Samuel 2 compare to Mary's in Luke 1? This is the question we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of 1 Samuel on Walking Through the Bible. Today we're going to be discussing 1 Samuel chapter 2, verses 1 to 11. Before we do that, let's read the passage. If you have a Bible with you, turn to 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 1. But if you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So 1 Samuel chapter 2, beginning at verse 1. And Hannah prayed and said, My heart rejoices in the Lord. My horn is exalted in the Lord. I smile at my enemies because I rejoice in your salvation. No one is holy like the Lord, for there is none besides you, nor is there any rock like our God. Talk no more so very proudly. Let no arrogance come from your mouth. For the Lord is the God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty men are broken, and those who stumbled are girded with strength. Those who were full have hired themselves out for bread, and the hungry have ceased to hunger. Even the barren has borne 7, and she who has many children has become feeble. The Lord kills and makes alive. He brings down to the grave and brings up. The Lord makes poor and makes rich. He brings low and lifts up. He raises the poor from the dust and lifts the beggar from the ash heap to set them among princes and make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he has set the world upon them. He will guard the feet of his saints, but the wicked shall be silent in darkness. For by strength no man shall prevail. The adversaries of the Lord shall be broken in pieces. From heaven he will thunder against them. The Lord will judge the ends of the earth. He will give strength to his king and exalt the horn of his anointed. Then Elkanah went to his house at Ramah, but the children ministered to the Lord before Eli, the priest. At the end of chapter 1, we had Hannah bringing Samuel to the tabernacle in Shiloh in order for her to fulfill her vow to give the child to the service of the Lord. Recall, Hannah was barren and had never had children. She prayed to the Lord and vowed that if the Lord would give her a son, she would vow him to the service of the Lord. The Lord did grant her a son, and so she was giving to the Lord that which was his. The child had by this time been weaned, meaning that he could assist the priests in the tabernacle, even if only a little at first. Chapter 1 concluded by telling us that they worshiped the Lord there. Chapter 2 is what gives us what that worship entailed, showing us again that chapters and verses sometimes break up the context, and we need to note this as we pass by. The prayer of Hannah is one of praise to God from a thankful, faithful servant. It does, however, bear a striking resemblance to the song or prayer of Mary found later in Luke chapter 1, verses 46 to 55, so much so that I'd like us to study these two prayers side by side. So going to Luke chapter 1, beginning at verse 26. And Mary said, My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit has rejoiced in God my Savior. For he has regarded the lowly state of his maidservant. For behold, henceforth all generations will call me blessed. For he who is mighty has done great things for me, and holy is his name. And his mercy is on those who fear him from generation to generation. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the imagination of their hearts. He has put down the mighty from their thrones, and exalted the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things, and the rich he has sent away empty. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, as he spoke to our fathers, to Abraham, and to his seed forever. Let's consider these two women, Mary and Hannah. Both were women of faith, ones who believed in and trusted in the Lord. In Luke 1, Mary is giving praise to God for allowing her cousin Elizabeth, a woman who was barren, to bring forth a son, while in 1 Samuel 2, Hannah is praising God for giving her, a barren woman, a son. Both sons, John the Baptist and Samuel, will be devoted to the service of the Lord, John by preparing the way of the Messiah, and Samuel by working in the tabernacle and being Israel's final judge before the period of the kings. And yet, both of these women recognized that God was behind it all and in control of it all. How is he described in both prayers? As one deserving to be magnified and praised, as one who is utterly holy, as one who resists the proud but gives grace to the humble, as one who deals justly and cares for those who draw near to him, as one who raises up and tears down governments according to his will, as one who brings salvation to his people, and as one whom nobody can stand before and prevail against. In short, this God is the only true God of this universe, and the only one deserving to be worshipped. And he is the same God in Mary's day that he was in Hannah's day. There are a lot of people who like to think that there are two gods in the Bible, a wrathful Old Testament God and a loving New Testament God. There aren't two gods. There is one. Because of God's holiness, he will not accept evil and sin, and so his wrath is meted out on those who will not obey his voice. But for those who will, his love and mercy is extended, and his salvation is real. That was the same in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. Hannah and Mary both worship the same God, a God who is kind and merciful, because he is holy and just. It's not either or, it's both. Place yourself in Hannah's position, though. She was not going to get the joys of raising her son. He was going to be in the tabernacle. Would you be able to pray this prayer of magnification to God had you been her? I know it's easy to say yes, but examine yourself closely. Is your faith in God that great? Now, this isn't to say that Hannah was perfect, for she wasn't. But she did desire to attain the faith in God that he desires of us too. When things go bad, too often we seek to blame God. When things go good, too often we forget to thank God. For Hannah, what she was doing was a sacrifice, but it was a willing sacrifice because of what the Lord had done for her. What sacrifices are we willing to make for the Lord because of what he has done for us in sending Jesus to die for us? Just some food for thought as we finish today's lesson. With the worship now over, Elkanah and Hannah return to Ramah, but Samuel remains in Shiloh ministering before the Lord and Eli the high priest. We'll see how he progresses, beginning the Lord willing in the next lesson. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of 1 Samuel chapter 2, verses 12 to 26, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time. Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.